broader scope than some of our other ones that are specific. Quite often I will take Aloha Takeout, we will discuss that, and we will take online ordering and discuss that. But we don't usually do takeout, delivery, and online ordering all in one scope. And there's a reason, and that's because they're kind of specific. But the focus that we're trying to take here today is sort of how those integrate with the system that you already have and some other products, and how those are intended to be used to help you grow your business and actually like recapture some of the information about your establishment and make use of that with an eye towards profitability. So I'm assuming in this that you have some familiarity with your Aloha system. And that you have at least a passing inference on how to get around and to get your basic sales reports, and that you have access to the back of the house stuff if you had questions or you wanted to look at this. If you should come across something in here that I imply that you should have access to, and at your individual location you do not have access to, that's fine. Just feel free to ask me, and if we need to remote in and take a look at it or those types of things, or reset your password to get into something, we'll be happy to take care of that with you outside of this call as well. With that said, the idea here is that we are looking at taking advantage of all the things that Aloha has that are built into it in a modular fashion. So when you go into your Aloha system when it's first installed, you'll see that we cover a lot of things like when you're doing item creation, we focus on things that are done during 1, 2, and 3 tabs, and we kind of ignore things maybe that are on the 5th, 6th, and 7th tabs. The reason is because those things are all there behind the scenes, and some of the best practices that we train you to set you up to add more functionality as your business expands. So when you start looking at doing the takeout system, when you look at doing delivery, or all those other things, because Aloha can handle all of the things that you've ever seen when you go out to restaurants, whether that's pay at the table or drive-throughs and billboards and all that other things. So what we're looking at here is some of those other things and how they all fit together in the big picture. Whether you're ready for those now or maybe someday in the future, that's okay, but it lets you know what your options are and also how to take advantage of some of the tools that you're using right now. So we're going to touch on both the delivery, the takeout, the online ordering, something called Engage Mobile. That's a newer product that you probably don't have a lot of familiarity with, even if you have been using Aloha for a very long time and have a good feel for what's going on with it. And somehow, some way, I will touch into a little bit of how those relate to Aloha Kitchen, but that's really minor. So the Aloha Takeout portion specifically is an interface that's kind of outside of Aloha, and the idea with it is that it gives you a separate place to track information that isn't tied specifically to the individual in question. So we want an access point for your customers to have a reference point for loyalty and payment information. We want them to have all their information in one central place that's not dependent on you. So your staff can go ahead and leave for the day. It doesn't have to be the person who took that order, it has to be the person who receives that order when the customer comes and picks it in. We also want them to have the notes and the things that really add that personal touch to it for your staff, so that anybody can go ahead and view the customer's information and take care of the customer with the information as basically they were the owner or the manager who has a stake in it and tends to have a more personal relationship with their customers. This way we let our staff have that information at their fingertips as well. And it is the backbone for how we do online ordering as well as delivery. So Aloha Takeout is really a fundamental thing that we go into with Aloha. And if you are using a table service establishment and using a map, you'll be familiar with it, seeing it as a button. We add it right on the home screen that it says Takeout. If you are using quick service, you will see that we often have it in there as a button that says Launch Aloha Takeout or Launch ATO. Either way, they're going to take you to the same interface in Aloha. And what we're looking at getting into is this is your main screen. So the Aloha Takeout interface, at its simplest level here, just has tabs, and I'm looking here at the top left corner. We're looking for the Aloha, which always just takes you back into your normal ordering system. That is intentional because we want to make sure that your staff has the speed and the muscle memory, that they're always using the same interface for the actual ordering portion, and they're seeing things exactly as they are used to. That also applies to taking the payment portion. The lookup is your normal screen, and the lookup screen that we're on here right now gives us the ability to look up customers both by phone number or by name. And if you happen to be using a phone-in system, it can actually be tied into your caller ID box. So it can actually look up that information and start automatically populating this with the customer's information as soon as the phone starts ringing and someone is going ahead and taking it. And if we do that, we have buttons here that indicate which line you would like to pick up. So if there's 4 lines ringing, they can choose the line that they would like to be. When they enter the phone number here, it begins to do an auto population. So it starts looking up the customer's phone number immediately. You can also go ahead and add a guest by going to the bottom right here hand corner. So if you happen to be getting into this and you know that the customer is not already in your database, or you're just populating it for the first time, you can go ahead and directly hit add guest. And if you're going to be adding a lot of guests in this information, then you can also go ahead and plug a keyboard into the USB port. So for a lot of data entry, if you happen to be more familiar or more comfortable with a keyboard, Aloha supports that as well, rather than just the on-screen one. When you do that, or if you enter in a phone number that is blank and it doesn't have their information, it will automatically prompt you to go ahead and collect the basic information. And the key here is basic. We really, really don't want to bog you down with trying to probe your customers for information. We want this to seem as basically as organic as possible. So the information that we're collecting from them is just the bare necessary. And most customers are very, very comfortable providing that information as long as we imply a reason why we need that information in the first place. So when I ask for the customer's phone number, I usually ask it as something like, what will be the phone number that we can reach you at if we have a question or a concern about your order? And they're more than happy to give up that. So then that becomes our point of reference for referring to that customer. And then for asking for their name to attach to the file, we go ahead and ask them just what name will be the, who will be picking up this order, or what is your name if they're uncomfortable. If you ask their name and they're not comfortable, just say who will be picking up the order, so that at least they have a frame of reference for it. And if you do that, you have the option to put in guest notes. Normally what we're looking for at this point is only that information. We only want the phone number and the name, unless it's a delivery. And we'll touch base on that when we come back to talking about the delivery portion, but if we're doing a delivery, then ask for the address at this time as well. Once we've entered in that information, we're looking to declare whether it's going to be a walk-in order, meaning the customer is standing there in front of me and came in, or whether it's a phone order. Okay, so if we go ahead and choose one of those and put it in, the ordering system is exactly what we're used to looking at in Aloha. It'll take us back into the ordering system. This happens to be table service. This is not quick service. So if you're used to looking at quick service panels, then that quick service portion of it is going to look the same for you. The thing I want to point out that is different is you'll notice the red section up here in the top left corner. And what we've now done is we've started running a time clock, because from the customer's point of view, at whatever time they've made contact with you, that is when that begins. So from their point of view, their now time is running. I placed that order 7 minutes ago, or I placed that order 5 minutes ago. For them, the clock is running. So we just want a sense of knowing where you stand and how long that time is. And Aloha is going to go ahead and keep track of that time, because that's going to provide us some metrics later and help us adjust our customers' expectations. Once we're done with the order, we're just going to hit confirm takeout instead of close. And confirm takeout is there just to go ahead and let us know that we want to go back into the carryout system. And when we do that, we're given an all-in-one screen where we can refer back to giving them that information. What we're doing here is resetting back the order. We've got the customer's name at the top, their order for everything that they're going to have back to them, their total. If there's any charges in there for carryout fees or anything, those would be reflected in it at this point as well. And then you're going to go ahead and confirm with them, okay, customer, here's your order. That will be ready for you at 10:50 a.m. I just want to make sure I have the correct phone number in case we have any questions, and is there anything additional for you? If everything looks good, then we go ahead and choose our payment mode down at the bottom. Okay, and cash in this purpose just means we're going to collect the payment for them when they arrive. Otherwise, credit means I'm going to go ahead and take their payment information over the phone right now. Once we do that, the clock is running. So it's already going to be going back to this screen, so we can go ahead and handle our next one. And we have our clock up in the bottom or in the top right corner. That is an indicator just where we're getting these quote times from. We have the ability, anyone on the staff, to adjust the quote time up here by pressing that button. And that's just where the system gets that promise time. So if I know usually a carryout order takes me 20 minutes, it's what lets it know, the system know, I'm going to go ahead and give them a 20-minute quote when I read that back. I don't have to do the math. I don't have to look at the clock. It's just that confirmation screen is going to have the right time for me to repeat back to the customer. Okay, and anybody can adjust that by pressing on it. And then we have a running total up in the top left that has what our current ones are for the day and what our all-day totals are for it. When the customer comes back in to pick up their order, we'll go ahead and we'll move over to the pickup tab. And when we do that, we can see a list of all orders that are going to be ready to be picked up. And by ready to pick up, I mean these have already been sent to the kitchen. If these are future orders, such as somebody orders it for later today or tonight, they're not going to be cluttering up this list. These are just ones that were already fired to the kitchen, so should be being made right now. So the one that we're looking at, we would highlight, we just tap on that item, make sure that's selected, and then we go ahead and hit the tender button in the upper right-hand corner. And the great thing is that just drops us back to the same payment screen that we're already familiar with. We can go ahead and enter in that payment just like we're normal. And also from here, apply any comps, coupons, anything if the customer happened to come in with their coupons or discounts, we can go ahead and take care of it all in the same spot, just like we're used to. If I go ahead and hit the $50, once it returns me back to takeout, you can see it's going to give me here my change due. And then once I hit OK on it, it'll just return me to their actual main thing. Okay. Now, most of that flow is based around the normal ordering in Aloha. The only thing we've done at this point is we've bracketed at the beginning where we're collecting the customer's phone number and their name. And then at the end, we have a confirmation box where we're reading the order back to them in organized fashion. And that actually will condense the items if you tap on the left portion of that screen on the confirmation. So instead of me repeating it back in order to somebody where I say Pepsi, sandwich, Diet Pepsi, sandwich, it's going to go ahead and say 2 Pepsis, Diet Pepsi, and condense it. So you can read that order back to a customer with some efficiency and not having them interrupting you when you say, I have a Pepsi, and them going, no, 2 Pepsis. Once we do that, we can also look here by keyboard. We can do a search by typing in the name. It will look for anybody with a similar name. This is helpful too if the customer is looking to replace an order, but they also have multiple addresses in with you. So if you're in an area where you cater a lot to the business people, especially doing lunch, you often order at their office. You can have them looked up by their cell phone number or their name, and you can refer to which address do I want to keep on file for them. Am I delivering this to their office address? Am I delivering it to their home address? And a little bit later, I'm going to touch base on some of the additional information we can store for customers and why we would do that. Once we choose that order, we can start a delayed order. So if that customer had a wonderful experience and they come to me and say, hey, that was fantastic, I'm going to pick up a pizza or an item on my way home from work tomorrow, we can go ahead and put that order in now to capture that sale. And when we do that, it's going to ask us to go ahead and put in here the time that we want it, and we can choose any date we want out into the future. But the point of the Aloha system here is that it's tying it now to the takeout and delivery system, not to an employee. So it doesn't matter that my employee is left for the day. When they clock out tonight, I don't have to leave somebody clocked in to go ahead and keep running with this order. And if it's an unusually large item, we do have the ability to adjust the prep time right here. And that's to determine how long it will be before the item is getting picked up, that we go ahead and send that back to the kitchen. So it automatically knows if I'm going to pick it up at 6 o'clock, it's going to go ahead and send that order back to the kitchen at 5:40 so it can be made. And for a large order, you would just adjust it accordingly. Once I place pickup, that just again means that they're going to go ahead and pay for it then. We go order it the regular way. We hit our confirm takeout again, and that order goes into the future. So if we want to take a look at our future orders, we can do that up at the top. We can repeat previous orders when we order for the customer. So if that same customer wanted to come back and do a repeat, this is actually kind of fantastic. I love the repeat order function because not only does it let us see what they ordered previously, it shows us notes about that customer so we can learn things about their habits. Does this person need a lot of extra napkins because they like to eat that pizza in the car on the way home? Do they always order breadsticks or an appetizer or an add-on with their item? Great, we're not going to miss that sales opportunity because we didn't know that. We're going to both capture that add-on sales because we're going to remember to ask them, do you want your breadsticks? As well as the customer is going to have a better experience because they're not going to get home and say, oh, I forgot to get the breadsticks. So we have the option to redo those. We also have the option to look back at those. And when a customer says, oh yeah, what was that sandwich I had 2 weeks ago when I was in here? It was fantastic. Great, well, we can go back and look at that as well. So we can say, oh, it looks like 2 weeks ago you ordered the Italian beef sandwich. Oh yeah, that's the one. I'd like to reorder that. And we can star their favorite orders. We can refer back to them and repeat them, but we can also keep track of additional information. All of that's going to be displayed here prominently, especially the guest notes and the allergies. Starring that, the notes field gets used for a lot of things, and the notes appears on any delivery receipt or any pickup chit that is printed. So you just want to make sure that your staff only puts things in that field that happen to be appropriate. Same thing kind of with the allergy information. At any time after the guest is created, we can go back in here and we can add guest details to the system. So we can go in and collect additional information. I'm not going to go into all of the information, but you can see here from the tabs, we can create multiple addresses. So we can have their home and work address. We also get the ability to put an address in as just a one-time address if they just happen to be at a friend's house and you don't want to save it as a permanent entry on their addresses. Those notes we put in. Allergies, especially food allergies, are fantastic, and it really is, if you've ever had somebody around you who has a food allergy, peanut, seafood, whatever it is, they deeply appreciate it when you take those extra precautions. If you put something that has a known allergen into it in a separate bag, they will remember the extra step that you guys took for the food safety issue. We can also take care of their car. If somebody calls and says, I have difficulty, whether it be for infirmity or a broken foot or something, and I can't get out, you can keep track of the car information. You can save payment types on place, especially for offices and workplaces. Keeps them encrypted copies, so you don't have to worry about the information being available to your staff, but it does authorize it in the future without them having to constantly give people who are picking it up the credit card or the credit card information. In the future then, when you want to take a look at your future orders, we can go ahead and hit future and see all of our future orders that are coming up by week or month or any particular day that we would like. I encourage managers to especially take a look at this both for the day and the week when they come in. One, you want to look at the weekly order because you just wanted to know, do I have anything big coming out there, and do I have all the product in-house for my vendors? Do I need to get a hold of my vendors and my brokers and get some emergency product in here because I have a giant order somebody placed? And also to make sure that they have time to prep accordingly for it. If I'm going to serve, 500 Italian beef sandwiches tomorrow for something, I want to make sure I have the staff here to prep those 500 Italian beef sandwiches. We can also take a look at these for the same day, just so we know what we have. We're not cutting people and sending them home too early or too late, or if I didn't have somebody scheduled to do delivery today or driving, I have time to get somebody to either come in and work while I'll make the delivery or correspondingly any other way to make arrangements. On the back of the house, what we do is in the Aloha Manager, we now gain an extra tab for takeout. This gives us some additional reporting that we can take a look at in the Aloha Takeout system. They're really handy reports. What we're really looking at here, hit a takeout, and then you can go down to reports, and we're going to look down here at these basic ones down below. The future order report and the future order item summary are important ones because what we want to do there is we want to make sure that not only do we know about those orders without having to run out front, we can take a look and sit down with our vendors and say, okay, these are the items I have for upcoming events. Do we have something on sale right now where we can take advantage of it because we know it's coming up next week? Also, we can go ahead and see that broken down by the individual items or by the reports. So if it's a big event, we want to look at it by the event. If it's just a large amount of orders, we can say, okay, even though they're spread out amongst a large amount of small future orders, it seems like next week I have an unusually high amount of roast beef, so I'm going to make sure that I order extra from my vendor. The open order report is that, again, shows a different view of the same idea. It lets us know for staffing purposes what we have ahead in terms of large orders or future orders to make sure we're staffed appropriately. The catering summary report and the catering detail report are just that. If we are using the takeout system in order to manage our catering for future events, we can get summaries of those reports as well. So we've got kind of an overview of that revenue center and how is our catering doing for our establishment. And then probably the most important aspect of this for growing your business is who's here. So we can take a look through this and look at our mailing list that we're establishing out of these, collecting the information. We also have not just the email and the physical addresses for people if we're doing deliveries, but those other ones that are in there. So we have our absent customers, our top customers, detail reports, and we're going to look at a little bit of that. The top customer report, hopefully you should know this. And as an owner and a manager, you do tend to have a better feeling for it. You know who your top customers are. You know who those people are. Hopefully you know all of those people by name and make them feel welcome, because chances are if somebody comes in there and they're spending $800 in a season with you, they're not coming in alone. They're bringing people, they're spreading word of mouth, they're saying, hey, I'm going to your establishment and eating. So we really want to make sure with those people feel welcome and comfortable enough with us that if for some reason they were to have a bad experience, we would know about it rather than them just saying, and I'm not going back. So we've got a report where we can take a look at those, and the little green arrow up here is the one that actually runs the report. And I only point this out because that's an unusual button in Aloha we don't normally see. So every once in a while someone will say, I tried to run that report and I couldn't figure out how to actually run it. And there's your green button. The absent customer report actually runs this. So what we're looking for is customers that traditionally came in and then stopped. So if we had somebody who always placed a carry-out order for their business, and then the last 30 days they haven't, what happened here? So we need to find out and have a way to reclaim those lost sales. So we can look back and say, okay, did this person have a bad experience and I need to reach out to them and I want to go ahead and offer them a comp, or I need to find out about it? Was there something just happened to them? But we can reach out to them and make sure that they're still going to be a customer in the future, and we're not just a lost sale because of negligence. We didn't know that they vanished. We didn't know they had a bad experience. The callback list report on here is a little more detailed. Now we're starting to look at actual numbers, and what we're looking at is orders that were promised and picked up and comparing what happened. And the important ones here are, you can see when we look at something, what was my promise time and what was the time that the check was actually closed. So here, for instance, on the third one down, I have one that was promised for them to pick it up at 11:30, and they didn't pick it up till 12:48, and that check was closed. Was that because we quoted them the wrong time, in which case we need to reiterate with our staff on how to adjust those quotes and promise times? Or was it because the customer didn't pick it up? But we want to make sure that we have procedures. And then if the customer couldn't pick it up for them, did we just leave that food sit in the window for an hour and a half and they had an inferior dining experience? Or did we take that opportunity to say, great, not make that product because we knew at the time, and we go ahead and made sure they had fresh food when they came in an hour and 15 minutes later? This is an opportunity to audit your operations, see what your people are actually promising and doing. And then also setting those expectations. So if the reason it wasn't ready was because we quoted the wrong time, or we didn't send the order in, we didn't understand, let's go back and follow up on the training and make sure that our quote times at the top are accurate, the estimated waits or delivery times for people are accurate. Let's set the expectation in a way that we can exceed that expectation rather than fall short of that expectation by overpromising. Going on from that, we do have a little bit here about the customer credit report. What we're primarily looking to see was, what did we have for comps on this? So again, for anything that went through the takeout system, we're looking at what did we do? Was there coupons that were particularly common? Great, fantastic. So now we know where our marketing money is being best spent. If we ran a coupon in the newspaper, we're going to want to head and create a new promo specifically for that. And maybe even though it appears on the customer's receipt as $5 off coupon, in our reporting internally, we're going to put it as $5 off times coupon. So we know where it came, and we can see which one of our dollars are having the biggest reach and the biggest return for our investment, and we're not wasting our resources for our marketing dollars in some place that's not giving us a return. And then also we can look here and say, okay, well, how much of those weren't promos? How much of that was comps? Or is too much of our food being comped because it was cold or made incorrectly, or any place that's going to be costing us money on our return as well? The future order item summary, I mentioned this is just to get an idea of what items you have coming up that you're going to need to make. Hopefully it should fall within your normal ability to handle, but if it doesn't, great. At least you have a heads up and you can see that you need to make additional steps to prepare for large orders. And we can see it by the orders. I like to look at the future order summary, especially for local businesses, because I like to have an idea that if I have businesses in a certain area around me that are placing these future orders, and I do see them, one, to expand and do some marketing for areas that don't include these businesses to go ahead and pull a new business, and then also maybe to offer a thank you discount for this area. And then we have our mailing list. And our mailing list here for our customers should be pretty straightforward. Usually you export this and you use it for direct marketing pieces. And there's plenty of marketing companies that will help you make great use of this mailing list. Or if you feel like you want to do it yourself and it's something that you're comfortable with, at least we give you an area to go back and you can look at, these are my customers. Here's the addresses I have, and you can start building a database from your community to reach out to. The nice thing about it is it does give you an idea too of, even though you think of yourself primarily as like an urban or a suburban or wherever your business is located, sometimes you'll be surprised at where the draw comes from. You'll actually get a very large amount from regions that you don't realize are your biggest advocates and your biggest strengths. And so it's at least worth finding out, why am I so popular in that area? Is it because that's an underserved area in general? Or is it because, that's an area that my tastes and my menu particularly align with? That might give you some insight into, if my menu aligns with the taste profile from this area, maybe I can market to other areas successfully that also have that same profile. The order status report is just this. It's only to take a quick look and say, did we close all of our things? Or did they get abandoned, comped? You can see the last one there on that list was abandoned. They never came and picked it up. We ended up comping it, and it was a dead order. Was that because my staff didn't finish completing it and they forgot to hit confirm transaction and followed all the way to the end? Or was it because the customer just never showed up and we don't know why? Hopefully in those cases, if you see repetitive names and things appear in there, of course, you may want to put an indicator on their account to make sure that it's payment received. And then top customer report. This is the one that specifically, like I said, you really want to know who your top customers are and thank them in some way. The investment in keeping those loyal customers and the dividends, they they're the ones who post on Facebook. They're the ones who bring in new people with them when they come to eat. So it's usually a nominal return on your investment to make sure that your loyal customers have a good experience and a good feeling towards you. So what is it really when we look at takeout? Besides the fact that we're looking at the technical system of managing those, the idea for us here is it's trying to be you. We want it to have some central place where it's remembering all those details. So if you as the owner and the operator aren't there to recognize your loyal customers, that there's a way for whoever happens to be working that counter that day to be able to look at it and say, oh, and here's those extra napkins you like, and be able to have those personal touches that really make your establishment stand out, even if you're not there. The allergy information, to be able to run that information out to somebody when they pull in and place their order at their car, those kind of extra steps. Questions about that portion before I go on how it ties into kind of the delivery system?
Nope.
Okay. And so when we add this to the delivery system, the first thing that you're going to notice right away is, of course, we have a delivery time at the top of the screen, and that is independent from your call-in time. And also we gained some new tabs down here. So we now have a dispatch, a map, we have drivers, and also when we actually go to confirm the order, we're now going to get an additional choice for delivery. And you can kind of see that's grayed out here on the right side. So the delivery order criteria is almost exactly the same. You can still do it, but what we're looking for is whether it has an address. If we go ahead and start entering in the phone number or typing in their name and it comes up without an address, we know that it's going to prompt us for it before we can actually enter in that delivery address. When we go back to confirm the order in here, so once I've done this, it's now going to go ahead and give us an area to repeat the address, as well as it's now calling it a delivery time. And I'll show later we can still change this information. So these are all selectable. We can just tap the word notes and we can go ahead and type notes in there. We can tap the word delivery and change it if at the end of the call they say, no, I'm actually going to place that for carryout. And that's actually fairly common that people will waffle on whether it's going to be a carryout or delivery order. We don't want you to have to go ahead and have to go back and start the entire order from scratch at that point. So if you tap it, it's going to give us pickup and delivery, so we could make that change on it. We can enter our notes the way we'd like to. Again, these notes appear on the delivery ticket, so the driver has this information before they take off out of your establishment. We just want to make sure that we keep these appropriate, because if these are left behind by the driver, tucked in with the things they're dropping off, these will be the notes that the customer sees as well. If you go to do the delivery and the delivery zone or the delivery address that you've entered in is not within the delivery zone, it will actually warn you. It will give you a prompt so that you can manually enter in that delivery zone. Usually people will set up a default delivery rate, or they will have a list that kind of gives a guideline for it on the wall. But fortunately, when we map out the delivery zone, it actually imports all the addresses into it. So it helps autocomplete the address, and you'll know right away if that address isn't listed. Most of the time when this comes up, it's not because we're delivering in an area outside of the delivery zone, but in fact because it's just new construction within your delivery zone. So that address didn't technically exist at the time that you imported the addresses. And we set that all up for you. When we do that, you also have the ability to add that one-time address I mentioned. So if it's going to be, I'm over at a friend's house and I want to get your food delivered to me at a friend's house, I can go ahead and type in that address, but it doesn't permanently associate that address with my account. If that address is in there, I can go ahead and save it, and then I can go ahead and have a listing here of, do I want to go ahead and send it to my work or my home address. Once the order is placed, the only difference is now these orders will not appear in the pickup screen. These now appear in the dispatch screen. So the way this works for your drivers is very, very straightforward. The drivers only take to learn delivery about 2 minutes. When the drivers come in and do this, they're going to come in, they log in, they go straight to this screen. This is the screen that they come into when they type in their number into the system. Any orders that need to be delivered are left here are on the left, and you can see we're filtering it by unassigned. So when we select that, we would go ahead and click on this order right here, the address and the time, and we can see it's there. And then we just click on the right. If I long press it, it will show me what's in that order in case I have either multiple orders with questions, or I want to go ahead and start gathering up my side items like beverages and things that have to go with it. And then just tap on the driver's name. So it's going to go ahead and show that the driver's now got some orders allocated to him. It will turn green for him. And you can see there's a little number under here under where it says driver. That 1 means I currently have 1 order for delivery right now, and the 0 is I've already delivered that many so far today. So we have a running total of how busy our delivery driver is and how many orders he's taking on his stop. You can also see here how long it has been since he took his last order. And at the time the delivery driver goes ahead and assigns those items to him, no one else can assign them. He's already gathering the things up for him. So any other driver who wants to assign is only going to be doing from the ones that somebody isn't already working on, no overlap. Once we assign those items, we're going to go ahead and dispatch. So there is a button in there called dispatch. Let me back up. This button right here. So when they hit the dispatch button, it'll also go ahead and print all of the paperwork they need. So if it is going to be a cash payment, it will just print the receipt that goes for them. If it is going to be a credit card payment, this is the portion where it runs that credit card through the system and authorizes payment on it. So they're going to go ahead and have those credit card slips in hand for them to sign when they get there. And if there's any other items that were not sent to kitchen printers, they will also see that on this one saying, okay, I need to go grab myself that 2-liter or that dessert from the cooler or anything else that has to go with me. Once we've gone ahead and run those orders, when we get back, we can go ahead and hit return. And when we do return, it just goes ahead and lets the system know that that driver's back. The advantage of us telling the system that the drivers are gone and when they have returned is if a customer happens to call in and say, hey, I made a mistake, I gave you the wrong address, we're actually next door. You know which driver to reach to contact and say, hey. Also, if the customer calls and says, hey, it's been 45 minutes, that's what I thought my pizza was going to be here, my order hasn't arrived, you can just at a glance go in and look and say, okay, well, he did leave 40 minutes ago, but he had 5 stops on his delivery. We had an unusual, so he should probably be there very shortly. So you just have an idea. Also gives you a time when he's running back. Since you know that your drivers usually have a time on here, we can see in the reporting that, my average delivery run takes about 35 minutes. Then we know how long before he's going to be able to come back and run the next set of deliveries out. And maybe I need to look at scheduling an additional driver during this time. The drivers also on their screen, on the drivers tab, they can go ahead and see who is an active driver right now, who's available, who's unavailable. And you can see on the right side of the screen here, they get to go ahead and select whether they want to take a look at what payments they've taken today, gives them an idea of what they've got to turn in or how much cash they have on them, or they can view it by runs if they had a question and they just want to go back and click on that delivery and go ahead and put their tips in now rather than waiting till the end of their shift. For our deliveries in the back of the house, we get to go in here and take a look at some delivery reports for our drivers. And without having some system like this is usually information that you're just guessing. There's not a lot of oversight on the drivers because they tend to be out of your establishment. Unless you're standing there with a stopwatch, it's very hard to estimate how productive your drivers have actually been. So this is going to go ahead and give us some metrics. If we look at it, we can go through and see their actual and estimated delivery times. And this is fantastic for us adjusting those quote times in the first place so that we can make sure that we're setting up the expectations for our customers great. It may sound great because the pizza place across the street is advertising, we do 30-minute delivery. But if I tell everyone 30-minute delivery and I never meet it, I'm just going to end up with a bunch of disappointed and angry customers. Instead, I'm going to know that my delivery times are about 40 minutes. I'm going to quote 45. And I'm going to, market around the idea it's worth the wait. We can go on beyond this, looking at our speed of service, how long are our drivers out, what's our usual turnaround on it, how fast is my staff, how many orders are they carrying, what's their average, amount of money that they're carrying. This type of information that you actually get some real metrics, and you can make some decisions on your staffing and who are your best drivers. And if you're only going to have one driver on a given night, is it the right driver? Is it somebody who can handle that sales volume? Is that somebody who's comfortable getting around town? If you have a driver who's consistently got faster delivery times, assuming we're making sure that he's not breaking any laws, doing deliveries, maybe he should be the one training the other ones how to get away. Maybe he's using a different mapping system to get around. It will print an itinerary with directions when you print the delivery route for him. But often drivers know the shortcuts. Drivers know that this is a better area or this is closed to construction right now or some unusual things that maybe the system wouldn't know. So make sure that person is sharing that information or is acting as leader on the team. Or if somebody has slower delivery times consistently, maybe we need to have somebody work with them. Questions before I go into on how that all ties into the online ordering system?
Nope.
Okay. So when we go into the online ordering system ties in. The background is it ties directly into what we have already covered with the takeout. So you have to have the takeout in place before you can do online ordering. If you are using delivery, then online ordering can handle both delivery and takeout. Okay, so these are all integrated together. And if you happen to be using a kitchen video system, then they will adjust based on what your kitchen video system is. So if your kitchen video system is timing the kitchen orders and it knows that even though I say burgers are a 10-minute cook time, my kitchen is swamped right now and it's actually taking 20 minutes, well, it will go ahead and bump up to 20 minutes your carry out times or extend your delivery times by another 10 minutes. So it actually makes adjustments the more of these systems you have working together. I'm going to use for an example here, Heirloom Salad Company. They're actually in Iowa City here. And it's just, I use them primarily because they have a beautiful website. They do a great product, they do a great business, but they have a beautiful website. What I want to show you here is the website is normal. They look through, this is their design. And you can see the entire website, their menu, salad, their hours, and everything as you scroll forward. What changes is when you go ahead, their Heirloom Salad Company is their URL up here, their website address. At the time I go into their website and I click the giant Order Online button, okay, it now switches their website off to Aloha's online ordering, but it was Heirloom Salad who actually themed it, chose the colors, attached the pictures. So even though we've now passed them off to Aloha's website or NCR's website for doing the online order, you can see it's easy to integrate it with your website, has a matching theme. There's not a jarring transition for your customer. It's not looking at something that was just slightly stuck onto your website. It's very professional, it's very nice and clean and matches your existing website. So when they do that, they get two types of orders that they can place in there if you turn it on. They can do individual and catering. They can also do group orders. What they're going to do is start by choosing a selection, choosing their location. If you have only one, we can turn it off so it goes to that by default. After they do that, they're going to either do a standard order or a group order by invitation. And a group order by invitation is fantastic for in a setting where you're dealing with business lunches. So what happens on the standard order is I'm just placing an order for myself. I choose a time and I will either pick it up or it will be delivered. The group order by invitation allows, say, a manager at a company to say, I'm going to go ahead and buy my staff lunch, but rather than spending time running around with somebody in their organization and a pen and paper or emailing everyone and waiting for them to respond back, they can email an invitation out. Every individual member can go onto your website. They can choose the order that they want. After it's ordered, it sends a confirmation back to the manager. The manager knows when all the orders are in. They can review it for anything unusual, and then they go ahead and submit the order, and everything's individually sent to the kitchen so you know who each item's for, and it's all packaged up correctly for them. Once they do that, choose the order. It's just going to go to the menu. We work with you to set this up. So when we do this, we attach all of the menu descriptions as either you would like them, either they already exist on your menu, or we can write them with you. You can attach pictures to it, change the categories here, kind of get the menu flow. Generally speaking, the better idea here with your menu flow for online ordering is the simpler the better. Even when you have the ability to take care of a customer and make anything, the best solution is the simplest, where you don't overwhelm them with a lot of choices looking at the online ordering. Instead, what we do is make them feel special and let them know if there's a special request, we'd be happy to accommodate you, just give us a call. And then they'll usually be able to take care of that with you over the phone rather than have to overwhelm 95% of your customers with many additional choices that they won't choose just to accommodate the 5% that are special requests. People who tend to make special requests know they're making a special request. They understand that. So we go through, you can see they've got a list of all their salads. They've attached pictures of all their items as well as the descriptions. You can see the prices that are available for the different sizes. So they can see there's different options available. And on the right side of the screen, it's going to go ahead and remind us what time we're going to pick it up, where we're picking it up, and we have a running total of our order. So this is our guest check for the customer that we're going to build on the right side of the screen. When I make a choice, any necessary options pop up on the screen. Not only does that show what's included in that item so that you're not surprised, I didn't realize that had apples in it, I'm going to go ahead and take them off. But also we can use suggestive selling in here. So it can pop up and offer them, if they ordered a sandwich, would you like to include chips with that? Would you like to include a drink with that? Would you like to make it a combo? Those type of options are available to us for still get the upsell. You can see here at the end of this, because I ordered a salad, it went ahead and prompted me what I like the chips and the cookies. And on the right, you can adjust the quantity of that. You can also go ahead and have them delete an item from there. Once they press continue on that, it's going to prompt for them whether they would like an account, tell them the benefits of creating an account with you. When they do this, they're going to get a confirmation email if they create an account. They're going to get one either way, but you will be able to go ahead and accumulate then an online ordering database for the same type of information that we looked at for the carry out and delivery. We want to know who's ordering, where they're ordering from, how often they order, if this person hasn't ordered in a long time. On the back of the house, this is all available from a web portal for you, so you can see all the reports about your online ordering, what time and days people order the most, so you can staff accordingly. You can also go in and look at the individual tickets and see what they ordered, how they paid. All of that's implemented on the web portal. If they don't, they can just go ahead and continue on the order. If they want to do that, it'll collect the information for their contact information, email and phone number, address. The difference between the creating an account and just continuing with the order is whether we save this information, but this is still information we'll need in order to go ahead and process it. If they have taken too long, and now the time has passed because you have a pretty quick turnover time, it will just prompt them to the next available delivery time. Once they've done that, they can go ahead and enter in their payment and any coupon codes. The coupon codes you set up, they're just tied directly to the coupons and promos you already have in-house. So if I want to do measure this by a school, for instance, I could go ahead and say the local school, I could put the high school's mascot as the coupon code, and when they type it in, it would just go to the standard discount, but at least they would feel special the way that it's entered in. They can complete the order, and it just goes straight into the kitchen just like normal. You can see those delivery orders. They appear in the takeout and delivery system. So if it is a carryout order, it just appears in the takeout section once it's been sent to the kitchen, just like our standard takeout orders. If it's delivery, it just appears in the orders to be dispatched. Saving on both the labor and the biggest return we usually get, or the biggest thing about anybody who's using the online ordering, is just less mistakes. Less from their staff entering them in incorrectly or not understanding what somebody said or wanted, and they usually tend to appreciate that it just went into the kitchen as the customer intended it. Questions on the online ordering?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Portion I'm going to go through here is called Engage Mobile. And before I get really into the Engage Mobile here, let me clarify for how the online ordering works when they're on their mobile device. If I'm on my phone and I'm using online ordering rescales. The same website works just great on both your phone and on the website. Okay, and you can see that if you look at I use Buffalo Wild Wings quite often as an example because their scales very, very well and very beautifully both on mobile and on website. Engage Mobile is no longer we're looking at viewing the website through a mobile device. Engage Mobile is now when I want to actually build brand loyalty into an app. And to be clear, doing this is actually requesting NCR to actually have somebody write a custom branded app for your establishment. Okay, this is a different service. This is a separate fees for actually configuring and setting up your app. So I'm being very upfront about that before we go into it. But it is the next step if you're doing branding. So I'm going to kind of go through this very fast because this doesn't really apply to everyone, but it also gives you an idea where it goes next. So it is notification capable. You can notify customers if the app detects they're in your area. It'll just pop up and say, hey, guess what our special today is? Or here's a $5 coupon, because it knows they're in the area. It also allows them to manage your loyalty and your stored values. So they can see their gift card values. They can apply those through there. If you're doing a loyalty thing like a sandwich club, they have access to that information from within it, and so forth. So you can set up a reward program in the app. You can see we've got loyalty features, special offers, and all this. And it's branded with your colors, your pictures, your scheme. So when you do that, you can go ahead and do directions. Since they're on mobile, it'll actually let them navigate directly from your device. If they're unsure where your location is, you can see the map of multiple locations as well. Even if you're not using multiple locations, it allows you to go ahead and do the full ordering, the full menu. You're still seeing the pictures, as well as the pricing for the items. You're running the shopping cart on it. All of the choices work exactly the same here as we're going to go through the meat trios and adding our items and adding our modifiers. This is exactly how they're going to be appearing in your kitchen when they print. Okay. The upsides to this, though, are when we start going into the checkout stuff. So most of the time, you can autofill this information from your phone. The customer information is stored for you and creates the account as well. And people tend to be more comfortable adding their own account information on their mobile device than they tend to be at a website. Same with the information here, only they get to choose whether they're going to give that information or whether they're going to pay in the store. And you can see here, it'll take a picture of the credit card information if they want to just do it that way rather than entering it. And the mobile site, as a rule, manages the promotions in the app and the notifications in a way that people are familiar to without them having to remember. Because if they're going to be using a website for a link, that's fantastic. But they had to have typed that website in, or they had to remember to create a shortcut on their home screen or on their main page. Whereas with the app, it's kind of the reverse of out of sight, out of mind. If they constantly see that app icon, the logo feels familiar. They see that app, they're much more likely to use that for a mobile purchase just because there's a constant reminder on a device that they're handling 500 times a day. So that's kind of how they all relate to each other. You can see that the takeout is the basis that ties everything together. And then from there on, once you've got that, we can keep expanding this out by adding those things as your business is ready to grow or develop into those things. But primarily, we're trying to make sure that you're having actionable intelligence, actionable information that you can get, as well as tying those things together to give us feedback. So we know our delivery time, so we're going to go ahead and adjust our delivery time. We know our carryout time, so we're going to go ahead and adjust that and manage our customer expectations. And we have our feedback overall for how well did we do. We have a report card where we can say, okay, we've got too many comps, too many abandoned orders, too many late orders, too many misquoted times, too many lost drivers. And we actually get an idea of what's going on in our establishment, even when our staff's off premise. Questions? That's a lot of information very fast I went through.
That's fascinating. I don't have any questions except for maybe if you could have somebody contact me personally regarding pricing, that would be good.
Sure. And there's, knowing your guys's your history and your things, was there a specific portion of that product that you were interested in?
Yeah, I'm interested in the delivery and the online, and eventually with our next store, probably the mobile app.
Okay. Certainly. Then I will be happy to go ahead and pass that portion on. The online ordering is fantastic. It's nice to have a good heads up for that. And I'm primarily the one who helps design the menus and do the online setup. So with your guys' menu, that would actually be pretty straightforward.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Anything I can help with? Anybody's using one of these products and has a question about how something works or how they can use the reporting a little bit differently? Like I said, if you do have a question, oftentimes I'll get emails afterwards. You're more than welcome to reach out to either support here at Integrated POS or me specifically and directly. And if you would do that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if I need to remote in and take a look at your system with you, that's something we're more than happy to do all the time. So with that, I'm going to wrap that up. Otherwise, I can kind of go into this in excruciating detail for about another hour.
Okay, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.